Sonia Garate, please could you provide us the timing signals for our first speaker this evening?
Absolutely. Mayana, you will see a green background at 5 minutes. You will see this yellow background at 6 minutes. At 7 minutes, you will see red. And at 7 minutes and 30 seconds, I will clap you off if needed. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonia. This evening, Toastmaster Mayana will be giving us a speech titled Self-Awareness, How to Cultivate It. Mayana will provide insight to self-awareness and how to cultivate it. She will navigate the keys to successfully navigating internal and external self-awareness. Let's give a warm welcome and round of applause to Toastmaster Mayana Hammonds.
Yep.
Thank you. Have you ever wondered why the same life stressors keep happening in your life over and over and over again, like the sound of a song that you dislike? Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, is it me? Why do I keep having these same life stressors? If you've asked yourself, is it me? You're off to a great start in becoming more self-aware. Self-awareness to me is having a conscious knowledge of the character, feelings, motives, and desires that each and every one of us has. When we see ourselves clearly, we are more confident and more creative. We make sounder decisions, build stronger relationships, and communicate more clearly. Even though most people think they're self-aware, it's actually quite a rare trait. Only 10 to 15% of people truly are self-aware. There are two broad categories of self-awareness. The first category is internal self-awareness, which represents how clearly we see our values, passions, aspirations, reactions, and our impact on others. Internal self-awareness is associated with higher job satisfaction and relationship satisfaction, personal and social control, and happiness. Don't you want to be more self-aware? It's negatively related to anxiety, stress, and depression. The second category of self-awareness is external self-awareness, which is an understanding of how people view you. People who know how others view them are skilled at showing empathy and adhering to others' values and perspectives. When it comes to internal and external self-awareness, it's tempting to value one over the other. To become more self-aware, and you must actively work on both, seeing yourself clearly and gathering feedback to understand how others see you. Highly self-aware people actively focus on balancing the scale. The bottom line is self-awareness isn't one truth. It's a delicate balance of two distinct, even competing viewpoints. Experience and power often hinder awareness. One's own experience can lead to a false sense of confidence about your performance. It can also make us overconfident about our level of self-knowledge. If you want to improve your self-awareness, seek feedback from a loving source. That is, people who have your best interests at heart and are willing to tell you the truth. To prevent overreaction or overcorrection on one person's opinion, gut check difficult or surprising feedback from others. It is also widely assumed that introspection, which is examining the causes of our own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, improves self-awareness. The problem with introspection is that most people are doing it wrong. It's not that you shouldn't introspect, you really should. The most common introspection question, I bet you guys can guess what it is. It's why. We ask this when we're trying to understand our emotions or our behaviors or our attitudes. As it turns out, why is a surprisingly ineffective self-awareness question. Therefore, to increase productive self-insight and decrease unproductive rumination, we should ask the question, what, not why. What questions help us to stay objective, future focused, and empowered to act on our own new insights? For example, in a previous role, I needed to understand a piece of negative feedback gotten from one of my peers. Instead of asking, why did they say this about me? I inquired, what are the steps that I need to take to do a better job? This helped me move to solution versus focusing on an unproductive pattern of the past. In closing, when you focus on building both internal and external self-awareness, seek honest feedback from loving critics and ask what instead of why questions. You can learn to see yourself more clearly and reap the rewards that increased self-knowledge delivers. That's one of the things that makes this journey to self-awareness so exciting. Toastmaster of the day.
Toastmaster Shastri Stewart, please could you provide us with the project information for our second speaker this evening?
We evaluated Michelle Gonzalez. Her speech is 5 to 7 minutes. Speech title, Funny Stories with Cameron. The purpose of her project is to begin developing a collection of humorous stories and to present a speech that includes humor. So I'm prepared to laugh and take a lot of notes today. Back to you, Toastmaster today.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shastri. Toastmaster Michelle Gonzalez Hill will be providing us with a speech titled Funny Stories with Cameron this evening. She will be talking to us about stories of how exposed and vulnerable you can be with little people. Help me welcome Toastmaster Michelle.
Everybody seeing me? Yeah. So I go away here. Good, good. Just a little bit. Yeah, good. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Justin. Good evening, everyone. How many of you know this? Yes?
Yes, I
No.
recognize that.
The virtual people cannot do what we can do in person.
Yes.
You can have one.
Yes.
You can have one. You can have one. You can have one. Come closer so that we can listen.
This is what you're missing out on.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Next time you'll come. We might have some more goodies for you guys. My grandson reminds me so much of this candy. Guys, was it sour? Mm-hmm. But then it's gonna be sweet. Cameron can be sour, but then he is sweet. Everyone has grandkids who I'm sure they think the world of. Today, afford me the privilege to spontaneously tell you some stories about myself and our inaccurate interactions. we have these interactions so many times that I could pick out 4 times that Cameron completely bowled me over. The first instance being when he was about 2, he came up to me, cupped his hands in my face, and he said, "Granny, I'm going to buy you jewelry, a necklace." He couldn't even say necklace. He's boy, necklace. So I said, "Cameron, I don't wear jewelry because I am beautiful on the inside." He said, "Granny, you have to swallow it." So he comes to my house with these little things, and we busted out laughing because beauty on the inside is what I've been trying to teach Cameron. You don't have to have a lot, but you have to have some gusto. You have to have love for others and to be kind. The second time was one day we were in our garage. Now I fence him around in our garage because I don't want him bolting through the house. So our garage is where we call our game room, is where I do my virtual meetings with you guys. And so he's there. So in the middle of us doing whatever perhaps we were watching videos, he said, "Granny, when is Jesus coming?" So I say, my goodness, this child is having a revelation. Maybe I need to start a campaign on him and tell him about the Lord and Savior Jesus. And I was just going so wild in my head. So I paused for a moment. I said, "Cameron, why did you ask me that? Who is Jesus for you?" He said, "Donovan is Jesus. Donovan is my husband." So I said, "What blasphemy is this? Why are you calling Donovan Jesus?" He said, "Granny, every time Donovan comes in and he opens the door, you said, 'Oh, Jesus.'" Now, just to give you some background, I have PTSD. So anyone coming up to me quietly, which my husband often does, and startles me, I say, "Oh, Jesus." So my grandson interpreted that as Donovan's name was Jesus. He had no idea that I'm just a scared kitty cat. The next time, we went to Publix to buy a sandwich. So he walked up where he knows where he's supposed to go. He walked up to the server and he said, "Can I have that?" So I moved towards the table and I said, "Oh, a bologna." Him, "Granny, you don't know the word is bologna? Are you crazy? Are you Trinidadian?" So I said, "Well, I don't know. I've never had bologna." He said, "Granny, know your words." And we busted out laughing. The servers and everybody had a good laugh at me that day because they didn't know that I did not know the word was bologna. So we always, go back and forth. "Granny, you're bologna. You say bologna," So those things are really precious with him when I have him in my company. He's not often with me. He comes every other weekend, and I do so much look forward to those spontaneous interactions with Cameron. And the last thing I wanted to talk about with Cameron, which really touched me, and I will get emotional, but it's okay. One night we were saying our prayers. I was reading for him. And I said, "Cameron, I'm going to pray for you because he's having trouble at school. He's not focusing." And so I started to pray for him. And then he looked at me, he said, "Granny, thank you, but I'm going to persevere." So today I take Cameron's perseverance methods with me. No matter what happens, he is optimistic. And he is persevering. And I know with my prayers and his sweetness, he will get through to wherever he needs to go. Fellow Toastmasters, I encourage you to be like Cameron, not sour, but always sweet, and keep persevering. Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much for that wonderful speech, Toastmaster Michelle. Thank you for the candy. And yeah, may we all try and be more like Cameron and be sweet and persevere no matter what's going on in our lives. Our third speaker this evening will be during the general evaluation section when we'll have the guest speaker join us. Toastmaster Sonia, can we please get a brief timer's report on the speeches this evening? You're on mute.
I see that. Certainly, both speakers were within time.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonia. Are the polls ready for this evening? Toastmaster Shay, do we know?
No, they're
Okay.
not ready.
Okay. So the second section of our meeting this evening will be table topics. This is an opportunity for members to develop their extemporaneous speaking skills. This is impromptu speaking, and guests are encouraged to participate. Do we have any guests on the Zoom this evening?
We don't.
Okay, great. So everyone will be participating in table topics this evening then. This evening, please help me welcome our table topics master, Toastmaster Heon Green.
All right, I'm getting ready. Since there are no guests, you all are fair game. Brace yourselves. And we don't have to remind you of the time, but just to let you know, try to fill your 2 minutes. If you see green, you can still go a little more longer until you fill 2 minutes. First, this is all work related, and I am sticking to the theme of today, which is teamwork. So imagine your workplace. Although we don't see our colleagues, some of you may still be working from home. First question, you need to build a team of 4 for a project, including yourself. You need to pick 3 more people. What qualities do you look for in the 3 people that you are going to pick? What qualities do you look for in the 3 people you are going to pick for your project? I am going to ask Shastri.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I'll ask again, can you all hear me? Yes, all right, perfect. Especially Yon for that wonderful question. Now, you said I needed to think of 3 words that I'll think of to pick to select someone to do a project. First word would be integrity. It's very important to have someone that has integrity on your team, someone that will go the mile, and someone that has your back. Second word is work ethic. Nobody wants a lazy person on their team. If you have a lazy person on the team, that means you have to shoulder some of their workload. So that's my second word. And the third word would have to be kindness. A lot of times we think we have to be mean. We have to show people who's boss. We have to allow our ego control the interaction and the team. But I believe that being kind to people really supports them in helping you more because they feel like you're nice, you have their back, and you're looking for what's best for them. So those would be the 3 words that I would choose. Back to you, ma'am, table topics.
Thank you, Shastri, Mr. President. The next question, again, you have a team to work on a project. Your teamwork is not going very well, and you need to complete the project. How are you going to address the problem? It's a teamwork problem. How are you going to address the teamwork problem to bring your project to a successful completion? Shay.
Thank you so much, Madam Table Topics Master. Teamwork makes the dream work. I would probably begin with letting them know how much I appreciate the opportunity to work with them, but that there is a problem on the horizon that will affect the end result. I'll remind them what's most important to all of us and ask them, what does it look like? What does it look like to work? What would it look like to complete this successfully? So one time there was a situation where I had to speak with a team member about their original commitment and what they envisioned and how I saw them. I saw this as an opportunity to just call them higher. That's the wording that I was chose, to tell them the strengths that I saw in them, but at present, the barriers that was keeping them from reaching those strengths. It reminded them and invited them into an opportunity to step into responsibility and commitment and maybe overcome some of those blind spots that they didn't realize were barriers for them. In the end, it was a more positive approach. Instead of assuming that they were doing it on purpose, inviting it an opportunity for them to see gaps, why it was creating a barrier for us as a team to reach that mutual goal. And I think it also established a deeper connection for the team overall, because they knew that I thought best of them and I didn't assume the worst. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Shay. Next one, it happened actually in my previous workplace. You are a supervisor. You have a team of 10 people that you supervise. Unfortunately, there is a lot of gossiping going on among the team members. What are you going to do as a supervisor? A lot of gossiping among the team members. You as a supervisor, what will you do? Sonia.
Thank you, Table Topics Master, for that wonderful question. Now, when there's gossip, first, let's figure out in that situation how that is harmful and how it doesn't support the team. So my first step, I think, would be to address this in a meeting that was already scheduled, not to have a separate meeting to bring this up, but to bring it up in discussion so that we can point out this is happening. And then I think what I would do is speak to the team members individually about this. I think that some people might view gossiping as a way to bond. In some cultures, that might be a bonding mechanism to share maybe private or to share personal stories. And everyone may not always see it as negative. Second, I would also discuss individually with team members how gossiping could be negatively impacting our work. Meaning that sometimes if someone shares something with you in confidence, it is meant to stay in confidence and they're looking for your support and not necessarily for you to then share that information with others. So I think in many situations, first we have to take cultural sensitivity and keep that in mind when we approach these ideas, because just the word gossip has a negative connotation, and that may not always be the case. Thank you, Table Topics Master.
All right, thank you very much. May I have one more? I just got a message, but can I have one more until the guest speaker comes? All right. Your job may look like a solitary job, but you do have to rely on a team to make your job successful. How do you use teamwork in your job? How do you use teamwork when you do your job? Woodlyn. Okay, Woodlyn, get up there. Tell me how you use teamwork when you do your job, Woodlyn.
you repeat the question, please? Can you repeat the question, please?
How do you use teamwork when you do your job as a realtor?
How do we use teamwork at my job?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, real estate has a ton of moving pieces, and we need people like my broker, the title company, me, moving people, the attorney, of course, the buyers and sellers.
Mm-hmm.
And my job is to make sure that the contracts, that I'm up to date with the contracts, and the attorney as well, and to make sure the buyers and sellers do their part to make it as smooth as possible. Toastmaster of the day.
Good, man.
Thank you, Woodlyn. You made 1 minute. Great. A small tip for our members. Next time when you reply to table topics, sometimes you give your idea, a concept, but you don't know how to go forward. Use a story. Use a story from your own life or from what you observed in others. Then you can easily complete 2 hours. 2 minutes. Madam Timer, how did we do?
We did well. Everyone who spoke was within time.
All right. Thank you very much. And are we going to get the polls ready?
Yes.
Thank you. Our guest speaker just texted me. She's getting ready to log in. She is logging in. Do you have to admit her? Who is going to watch out?
Yes. So both Sonia and I are on the lookout for any admissions.
Okay.
I guess in the meantime, we can move forward with
Yes.
evaluations.
Yes.
Thank you, Toastmaster Hyun, for that great table topics. Thank you, Toastmaster Shay, for launching the polls and taking care of the votes for us. Just a point of order, I think you might need to make Sonia co-host. When she gave you the host, she's no longer the co-host, so she can't admit someone.
Yes, Gary, thank you. That's correct.
Okay. The third and final section of our meeting this evening is evaluations. This is the gift of instant feedback and a key part of success in a Toastmasters program. Give a warm round of applause to Toastmaster Justin Gwynn, who will be serving as our general evaluator this evening.
Let's test. Can you guys hear me from over here? Let's speak of you. Everybody online, can you guys hear me from over here? Thumbs up. Wonderful. Look at that. We can move over this way now. I can talk to you guys. Right. They can see me. And my whole get up today. Great. Well, we're going to start off by asking the timer to demonstrate the timing signals for the evaluations.
Certainly. Our evaluations are 2 to 3 minutes long, and at 2 minutes, you will see the green. At 2.5 minutes, you'll see yellow. At 3 minutes, red. And at 3 minutes and 30 seconds, I will clap you off.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonia. Without further ado, evaluating Toastmaster Mayana, please welcome Toastmaster Susanna.
Thank you. Mayana, what a difference between your first speech and today when you did the same speech. It was a big difference in a very positive way. I love the organization of your speech. You asked us 2 questions going into the speech that was very powerful. It connected with the audience instantly. The opening was really good. And then the gesture, like you did view you, that really stood out. That was really great the way you did it. And your vocal variety in some of the words, there it was high. I know you had asked me to focus on vocal variety, though the way you stressed the words was much better compared to your previous speech. And what really resonated with me, one of the theme throughout, you kept repeating it several times, which was very nice. Focus on what, not why. And it was really impactful when you give your personal story, an example of your coworker, when somebody said not so nice things about you, instead of focusing on why, going to what. That resonated really to me. I think audience will also agree with that. Areas of improvement would be, we want to see more of you looking at us, right? Like eye contact. I think because we are virtual, we are so used to reading off a paper or a screen. That is going to soon change once we get back in person. So I would encourage you to make more eye contact. And one thing that I noticed was towards your opening was really strong. Your closing, you don't have to really mention I'm about in the closing, I would like to say this. I think that is not necessary. So I would encourage you to avoid that to make it more powerful. But overall, it was a great speech. If I give you 6 in your previous one, this is up to 9. So keep up the good work, Mayana. Looking forward to more speeches from you. Thank you. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmasters, Susanna. I had very similar notes for Mayana. Great job, Mayana. Much improved. Very excited to see you deliver that speech today. Wish you were here in person with us, but it's fantastic to see you again. All right, next, evaluating Toastmaster Michelle. Please welcome Toastmaster Shastri.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. And I guess we don't have any guests, but especially Michelle. Honestly, I was yesterday when I selected to evaluate Michelle, I was so excited. I'm so excited to actually evaluate you for the very first time. And a few things that I want to mention. The way that you started your speech, where you said, my grandson reminds me of sour candy, but he can be very sweet. What a very good use of a metaphor. That was exquisite. Not only did you use that metaphor, you brought the bag of candy and you handed it out to everyone in the room. Unfortunately, the people on Zoom couldn't get any candy, so we do apologize for that. But your best part of your speech was the way that you use stories. You said, 4 times Cameron bowled me over. Granny, I'm gonna buy you a necklace, right? And you went on and told us the 4 stories. You also said your grandson Cameron called your husband Jesus, which I thought that was very, very funny, extremely funny. Now, in regards to your body posture, I felt your body posture is very open. You were very engaged. You were emotional. Every time you speak, you get me a little teary-eyed. Honestly, you're so passionate, and I could feel your passion through your body posture, through your voice. I love that. Now, one thing that I would like to point out, because I didn't write a lot of any improvements because I was so entertained by your speech, the one thing that I would probably improve is your vocal variety, because you're always on high all the time, right? Because of your energy. But vocal variety means high and low. So when you're excited about Cameron, then you go down and say, Cameron is very sour, but he's also very sweet, right? So you want to have that variation. But all in all, you did a very, very good job. And lastly, you're always so vulnerable when you speak. There's nothing that could engage an audience and make them feel the way that you feel but by being vulnerable. So excellent job. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Shastri. And I really don't know if the rest of those are actually going to make it out of the room today. So, you know, again, you should be here to enjoy these beautiful Sour Patch candies. Timer, Matt, have a brief update, report on the timers for the evaluation at the time.
Certainly, both evaluators were within time.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Okay, great. Well, tonight we have a special treat. We have one additional speech that we're going to go through now. I'm going to allow Shay to introduce our next speaker, speaking on evaluations. Shay, please give an introduction to our guest speaker.
Thank you, Toastmaster Justin. We have the pleasure of having Linda, who is delivering effective training tools about strengths, techniques, and opportunities for delivering effective evaluations. She has such an engaging and positive way of presenting, and we're honored to have her come speak to us. Let's give a warm welcome to guest speaker, Linda. Let's talk evaluations. Linda, you're on mute still.
Yes, I know. I'm actually moving my, getting my mute button. I'm on a dual screen and there's some stuff open that shouldn't have been. Good evening. Thank you very much, Shay, and good evening, Toastmasters of Wellington Toastmasters. If you've never given a speech evaluation, raise your hand. Oh, I do have one. Would you be a guest tonight then, or a new member?
New member.
New member. Wonderful. Except for guests and new members, I believe that we all have done at least one speech evaluation. I don't know about you, but I can remember walking away from a meeting like a little puppy who emerged as the loser in a dogfight, tail between legs, limping and licking my wounds. I joined Toastmasters as a relatively accomplished speaker and presenter. I had spoken at conferences with over 5,000 attendees. So it bothered me that night, but the next week I was on the stage again doing another speech. However, I know several people that have received evaluations and just never came back to Toastmasters. Have you ever had an evaluation that made you feel like, wow, I put all this work in and yet I was slammed? It was like if I'd done nothing at all. Have you ever felt that way? Fellow Toastmasters, I'm sure that you don't want to be one of those evaluators. So let's take a moment and I want you to think and maybe write down, what is the purpose of a speech evaluation? What is the purpose of a speech evaluation? At least think about it, because I'm going to ask a couple people to share. And so I don't call on anyone. Is there anyone who just wants to share? What do you think is the purpose of a speech evaluation? Anyone?
I would say to gain feedback for improvements that could be made on a future speech as a learning opportunity to develop in your speech presentation.
Thank you very much. Mayana, is that your name? Good, I got that right. Anyone else have a slightly different spin or want to add anything? And then we'll move on.
Adding on to what Mayana said, I would look evaluation into two parts, right? One is, what did I do good? What can I continue to do for my future speeches? And then second would be honest feedback, shameless, honest feedback. It's a safe space, and we look forward to that, and it assists in our growth, as Mayana said.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sujana.
Susanna.
Very good. And that's an evaluation, except I like to think of it as benefiting not only the speaker, but the evaluator, as well as the entire audience in the club. And let me try to explain why. Let's start with the evaluator. As an evaluator, you get to practice listening, and you also get to practice your impromptu speaking. An evaluation is a speech. It should have an opening, it should have a body, and it should have a close. For contests, an evaluation is actually a performance. You are performing for the audience, but at the same time, you're delivering knowledge to the speaker, like Sujana said and Mayana said, to help them grow as a speaker. Some speakers or evaluators open their evaluation with a quote. Others use a short vignette. Be careful though. An evaluator has 211 seconds maximum to help the prepared speaker improve his or her game. And you do want to help. So do make sure that if you use a quote or a vignette to grab your audience's attention, that it doesn't take too much time. The next person I want to highlight, or the second beneficiary, is the speaker. An evaluation is a learning aid for speakers, and it helps them to develop their skills. But I think Sujana said it real right. Evaluations must be honest. I can't count the number of times that I was disappointed because the evaluator raved about my wonderful speech and couldn't find anything to comment on for improvement, or describe something really trivial and obvious where I felt like all the work that I had put in, all the practicing I had done, all the efforts I had taken to rewrite my speech were, in essence, trivialized. So when evaluating, I'm going to ask first that we not be superficial. I want you to dig deep and really provide examples of how the positives elevated the speech and why you're making recommendations. Let me give you an example. Let's say that I'm asking a speaker, or a speaker did a speech where they were describing how angry they were, and they clenched their fist and you could see it on their face. Instead of just saying, your body language was excellent, you could say something like, notice how Sujana's fists were clenched and her nails dug into her palms and her face expressed the anger at her supervisor. It says the same thing. You have great body language, but it tells you exactly how you showed that body language. Let's say for another situation, someone was describing maybe an unexpected accident with their pet. And yet they did it in a monotone type. My dog was hit by a car and, oh my gosh, when I ran over, she gave her last breath. Instead of just saying, well, your speech was monotone and your vocal variety could have been improved, you might want to share something like, oh my God, I grabbed my pet in my arms and she took her last breath. And I just felt her shake. And then she was gone. Notice the anxiety as she ran over to the pet. The vocal level increases. So one could say her voice was raised as she expressed her anxiety of seeing her pet fall in front of the car. And then her voice got low and her pace slowed as she held the pet taking its last breath. One of the things that we don't want to do is regurgitate the speech that a person just did. Why not? Because she just spoke it and the audience just heard it. So we don't want to hear it again. So when doing an evaluation, you do want to make sure that you look for the highlights and you express them, how it made you feel, what was done that made you see the imagery in the speech, and also what you heard that brought that speech to life. So it's not retelling the story, but picking elements of the story to say how it was done well. You have 211 seconds, did I say, to get this all said? So far, here's what I said, just going back a bit. You want a strong opening, a quote, a joke, or something in the speech that everyone would have grabbed onto. Open with that, get the attention of your audience. Then pick something that you want to really highlight for the audience and share that and say why it was great. Next thing you want to do is, and this is what really counts, I usually pick 2 things that could be improved upon. And again, you want to share how you received it and then why it could have been better. And if you can, in the space of time, describe how you would have made it better. Giving examples will help newer Toastmasters to be able to make their speeches better next time. Now, I also said that the audience and club members can benefit. They do, because if you've got new members, or even if you've got advanced members, if you do a great evaluation and you grab their attention so they're not playing on their cell phone and they're really listening, they are learning from you as well. And that's going to enhance the quality of your club. Dig deeper, Toastmasters, and make sure that you provide good, specific, positive, and motivating feedback. I noticed the red light, but I was told 10 minutes, so I'm going to continue for a little bit more. I hope that's okay. I want to talk about doing the evaluations, and I'm going to break it into 3 parts: before the meeting, during the meeting, and after the meeting. Who knows what we should do before a meeting if we're an evaluator? Unmute yourself and quickly tell me if you know. Anyone?
Asking the speaker if there's any points that they're focusing on.
Absolutely, Shay. So there are a couple of things. The first thing I always do, and I recommend you do, is get the evaluation resource. Whatever speech that speaker is doing, make sure you get that resource, study it. And that gives you your framework. You can start to prepare your evaluation at that point because you know what the project's focus is. When you evaluate, if it's a project that's focusing on body language, don't spend your time talking about vocal variety because the project's focus is body language. So make sure that when you're doing your listening and your observation, you're focusing on the goal of the project. Having done that, exactly like Shay said, maybe you've got an advanced speaker who's working on some other aspects or some other skill or some other competency, and they've been working on it for a couple speeches. Talk to the speaker. It just takes a few minutes. Find out what they want you to look for. Once you gather that, anything, now they're going to be interested in what you have to say, because what's in it for me? I've told you what I want you to look for. And if you can tell me if I've gotten better or how I can improve that, that's going to be helpful. So that's before the meeting. During the meeting, your goal is then to listen. You've already got your framework from the evaluation resource and what the speaker wants you to focus on. And one of the tools I use, there are several of them out there, you can Google them. I split my sheet of paper into two halves and then a third on the bottom. And on the left side, I usually write, what's the goal of the project? What are the things that I like? And then take examples as I go through and write them on the right. So for instance, if the project focuses on vocal variety, I put vocal variety on the left, and on the right, I'm going to write examples of things in the speech where the speaker hit vocal variety. In the bottom half, I'm going to note the things that could be improved. Throughout the speech, I'm going to capture these things, and then I'm just going to pick one good thing to highlight, the best one, and two things to ask that they improve upon. The final thing is a stretch goal. You want to give them something to work towards. Should they be working towards a contest? Should they be taking their speech to another club and just taking the same speech and honing it and getting other people's feedback on that speech? Those are some of the things that you can set as stretch goals for your speaker. Remember, our purpose as evaluators is to provide honest reactions in a constructive manner to a person's efforts using the evaluation resources provided. We're not judges, we're not authorities. When we evaluate, we are stating our opinion. How did it make us feel? The person can take that information or they can leave it. You just have to know that both ways. The evaluator and the speaker need to know it's an opinion, take it or leave it. So after the meeting, we're going to complete the written evaluation. And just one more thing, always meet with that speaker one more time, because there's a chance that the stress of the meeting, the excitement of the speech, they may have missed something that you said. So give them one more opportunity to talk to you one-on-one and find out what you really meant when you said this was something they should improve. And during that last meeting, motivate them. If you can, they should feel like they want to go sign up on the roster for the next meeting at the end of your conversation. So fellow Toastmasters, I'm recommending that you guys sign up as evaluators as often as possible. Do keep practicing, go forth, and just hone your skills and come up with your own strategies, maybe using some of the things that I've said to do great evaluations and help your fellow Toastmasters grow. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Linda Chapman. Just calling Justin back onto the floor as he's.
Oh, I apologize,
no,
Mr. Toastmaster.
As he is our general evaluator for.
General evaluator.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Linda. One more round of applause for Linda, everybody. Thank you so much. Our very own wonderful president wanted to get in a thought on the purpose of an evaluation. I'm gonna allow him to do that now. He's trying to get in something, so I want to hear what you had to say.
Justin, come close to the speaker.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say the purpose of an evaluation really is the person have to be able to want to take the feedback that you provide. And so the way that you deliver it to them is very important, number one. And number two, it's also about motivating them to do more speeches, not discourage. That's why I wanted to say.
Wisdom from our own president there. Thank you so much. And yeah, my thought as well for the purpose of an evaluation, my approach has always been quite simply, it's about the speaker, it's not about me. So I've never tried to make it a performance, quite frankly. It's just, I'm not trying to do that. I don't want to make it about me. I'm not trying to win an award for evaluations. I want to give you straightforward feedback as best I can and deliver it in a way that is, going to help you improve. And that's been always my approach. Wonderful. All right, let's move on to some of our reports, starting with the all counters report. Toastmaster Ray, and please have the all counters reports.
Thank you, Toastmaster Justin. Let's see here. Or General Evaluator. The total number of filler words used by the club today is 13. The most fillers used by a member was 4. And the most commonly used filler word today was used 5 times. The following Toastmasters did not use any filler words during the meeting. Toastmaster Sonia Garate, Toastmaster Gary Newport, and Toastmaster Hian Green. That concludes my on-counter report. General Evaluator.
Next, may I get a grammarian's report, please?
Thank you, Toastmaster Justin. For our word of the day today was spontaneous. I heard it used maybe 2 to 3 times. We definitely could have used it more. As far as eloquence or words of eloquence usage, nothing quite stood out to me. I just keep repeating teamwork makes the dream work, because that was the key component that held our meeting together today. So I just want to bring that forward again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shea. Well, this was a very spontaneous meeting. We started out in the parking lot. We had a speaker in the evaluation part. We mixed it up quite a bit today. So it was a good word for the day, that is for sure. All right, the meeting did not start on time, quite frankly, because we were out in the parking lot, but we still got it, we got it going. We're not going to finish on time. We're going to finish as close as possible, which I think is great given the technical difficulties as we're trying to have these hybrid meetings. I think it's fantastic what we're trying to do. Toastmaster of the day did a fantastic job. Wasn't sweating under pressure, even though we were outside hot. He did a fantastic job organizing everybody. Everybody round of applause for Toastmaster Gary. We will be welcoming back next week. Yes, perfect, wonderful. Speeches, fantastic. Michelle, great job. Mayana, fantastic job as well. Evaluations were really, really good as well. Spot on. Theme was stated. Everything else we did good given what we have to deal with here. So I think we're doing a fantastic job, and things can only get better from here, I think. That's it for me. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day here.
Gary.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Yes, Toastmaster Hian.
Yes, I wanted to commend Wellington Toastmasters for inviting Toastmaster Linda Chapman. I met Linda when she was serving as area director a few years ago. I met her at the South Florida Water Management at the area speech contest. And I listened to her opening speech. I watched her working the room, and I made her my mentor, unbeknownst to her. and I'm still learning from her. We are lucky to have her for 10 minutes tonight. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you very much, Hyun. I just, on a point of correction, just so that everyone's clear, I was public relations manager for the district. I was not the area director.
All right.
Well, thank you so much, Toastmaster Linda. We really appreciated you joining us this evening and giving us some valuable tips for doing great speech evaluations. And I look forward to there being big competition on the agenda for evaluations for next week. Toastmaster Shay, could you please share your background and announce the winners from the polls this evening?
Yes. Again, teamwork makes the dream work. Sonia is going to be announcing them. I will share my background.
Sorry, one quick point of order. I don't think we voted for evaluator for this evening.
That is true.
We didn't? Oh.
We did. I don't think so. No, we went in straight from
Oh, yeah,
evaluations to Linda.
yeah.
Okay, the evaluations should be up on your screens if everyone could vote for that.
Okay, I'm ending the poll now.
Great, thank you. So we'll hand it over to Toastmaster Sonia Garate to announce the winners for this evening.
Okay, let's start out with our formal speaker. And give me a moment to access that. Here we are. Okay, our winner tonight of our formal speaker, put your hands together for the one, the only Toastmaster Michelle Gonzalez Hill.
Brag this.
For our congratulations. For our table topics winner, I have to find the other poll. Give me 1 second here.
It's you, Sonia.
It's me. I didn't find that. And for our evaluations tonight, our first place evaluator goes to Toastmaster Sujana Tulahar. Congratulations.
Woo!
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Sonia and Toastmaster Shay. That brings our meeting to an end this evening. Thank you all so much for your participation. We started off with a few challenges, but we've pulled together as a great team as always. And I would like to hand the meeting back to our president, Toastmaster Shastri, to close out the meeting for us.
All right, round of applause for our Toastmaster of the day, Gary Newper. Great job improvising too. Yes, I'll be very quick since we're a little bit behind. First and third are physical or hybrid meetings. So the first of the month and the third Monday of the month, that's when we'll have our physical location and our hybrid meeting. So please try to join if you can, if you're able to be here. Believe me, it's a different type of energy when you're here versus the Zoom. So would love to see your faces. Some of the members that we've never met in person, if you could maybe decide to come one of the meetings, so would definitely appreciate that. Sign up for roles next week. Gary is our Toastmaster of the day, so please sign early within 48 hours. That's our goal. And that is pretty much it for me. I conclude the meeting adjourned. Thank you.
So I do have a couple announcements.
Oh, go ahead, Shay.
Just two. So we're coming up to our evaluations contest soon. So now that we have tools to apply to our evaluation skills, I'd like to encourage you, not next week's meeting, but the following meeting, we're going to be doing an evaluation style meeting where we'll have a keynote speaker and then we'll have people evaluating from our own club. The keynote speaker could also come from our own club. So I just want to encourage you not to be afraid to go ahead and sign up. and to step into this moment, because it gives you a chance to grow, as we heard so eloquently put by Linda, Toastmaster Linda. That concludes my announcement. I'm clear.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shay. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week, and we'll see you on Zoom next Monday night.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you so much, Linda. Yes, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I don't get out very much anymore. Since 2020, I've been staying at my home club pretty much. So yes,
yeah.
thank you for having me.
And you're
Appreciate
welcome to visit anytime. We love having you.
Definitely will try to drop in more.
Okay.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye.
Toastmaster Shay, can